the third straight Winston Cup championship for car owner Rick Hendrick.
As far back as he can remember, Jeff Gordon has been driven by a single desire: to be a champion. Storming into NASCAR, Gordon and his Rainbow Warriors laid the foundation of a dynasty after winning their first Winston Cup championship in 1995. Reaching that pinnacle has only fueled the 24 team's appetite for victory. In 1997, Gordon set his sights on his next historic quest: his second Winston Cup championship.
What an amazing season. I mean, this is a season that you only have dreams about, and for me, you know, that dream actually came true this year. So, I mean, you look back at to start it off with the Daytona 500, and then, you know, you win on a road course, you win on a short track, you win on a super speedway, you go on and you know, win some of the biggest races of the season, and then wrap it up with winning a Winston Million. And then to finish the season, you're saying, hey, the only thing that's going to complete this season is a Winston Cup championship, and all that happened. All of it came true.
The long road to the championship would begin at Daytona. A week before the legendary 500, Gordon would win the star-studded Busch Clash. It was a great tune-up and momentum builder going into the Super Bowl of NASCAR. The first official points race began amid the spectacle and pageantry that is Daytona. Jeff Gordon and his Rainbow Warriors, however, were still reeling from the devastating news of owner Rick Hendrick's recent leukemia diagnosis.
I think at first, you know, we were all just in shock and saying, you know, how serious is this? And Rick set the precedence for this whole year. He really did. Because when our emotions were being caught up in what he was going through and wanting to help him, he basically came out and said, hey, I'm going to fight this. And he said, I'm okay. He said, but you guys need to go out there and win races, and we're going to help others. We're going to fight this disease, and we're going to get the awareness out there. And all I want you guys to do as a team is go out there and win races. That's the best medicine in the world for Rick Hendrick. And, you know, that started the season off. So all of a sudden, our emotions went from, you know, being very down and almost depressed to uplifting and, hey, we're gonna do it for Rick.
From the start, Gordon looked strong, running among the leaders. But on lap 110, a flat tire forced the 24 car into the pits. He stormed back on the track nearly a lap down. Remarkable, a caution allowed Gordon to move from 31st up to the leaders. Then, with 10 laps to go, a dangerous pileup whirled tangled metal behind him, taking out 3 of his competitors. Gordon flew low on the apron, passing Bill Elliott to take the lead for good.
To win the Daytona 500, to go on that list of names is a real honor, but to run 1, 2, 3 was probably more of an honor to do that for Rick Hendrick today. Right now, I'm the happiest guy. I mean, this is the biggest race in my career that I could have ever won.
Gordon became the youngest driver to ever win the Daytona 500. The only driver to win a NASCAR race coming from 31st position. And the first driver of '97 to win a crown jewel in the race for the Winston Million. Rockingham would showcase the second race of the season. Although Mark Martin sat on the pole, it was Dale Jarrett who took the spotlight, leading 323 laps. Late in the race, the 88 developed handling problems, and the DuPont Chevy was ready to take advantage, sliding into the lead on lap 350.
Has Gordon been holding something back for the very finish today? Jeff Gordon trying to lead.
1 year earlier, the 24 team had finished 40th at this race. Gordon seemed invincible, claiming his second consecutive win of the season.
Jeff Gordon wins the Goodwrench Service 400. Dale Jarrett comes home in second.
You know, we were just, we never got down on ourselves if we got behind, you know, if we couldn't catch Dale Jarrett or couldn't pass him, we just, you know, never quit trying. And this team has a motto, refuse to lose, and that certainly paid off today, and you can't ever quit trying.
The first short track race of the season was one of the year's most exciting races. Jeff fought tenaciously, trying to become the first Winston Cup driver in history to win the first 3 races of a season.
Well, I had to race Rusty Wallace really, really hard. I mean, it was pretty unbelievable. We rubbed and banged, and it was pretty exciting. Just as I get my lap back, Ernie Irvin was just sitting there dead on the racetrack, and as I come through here, through the corner, he was just rolling down right in front of me. Well, I just had to get out of the gas just that split second. When I did, Dale Jarrett and Rusty Wallace passed me, and I didn't get my lap back. I went from saying, hey, I got this thing, the caution's out, I'm gonna get my lap back, to what happened? It still wasn't a bad day, but hey, I wasn't gonna give up until that thing was all over to try to win 3 in a row.
After 3 events, Gordon held a 63-point lead over teammate Terry Labonte. Jarrett, Rudd, and Craven finished off the top 5, separated by only 8 points. Jeff felt confident going into Atlanta's Super Speedway after dominating at Daytona and Rockingham.
We were very strong. We you know, went up there and led some laps. We were running great. We're in the top 5, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, motor blows. And I mean, it's only like, you know, 20 laps, maybe 30 laps into the race.
Dale Jarrett held the lead the rest of the day, while Gordon and company settled for a last-place finish.
Hey, just can't ever quit. That just shows you those 2 wins, and that 4th doesn't mean anything when something like this happens. So, you know, we're gonna be strong, and we're gonna fight all year long. And these are the things that happen, and we'll go to the next one and get after it.
Despite Darlington's intimidating history, Jeff Gordon would attempt to set a record of 4 consecutive victories at this track.
Jeff Gordon's in the wall.
It wasn't to be. Leading the race on lap 42, Darlington struck.
If we'd had radio contact with him, we probably would have said, I'm in the wall.
After lengthy pit repairs, the 24 car moved from 13th to challenge the leaders late in the race. Once again, the front-running Ford of Dale Jarrett proved to be too much.
You know, I found myself in a day where, again, the Fords were just so dominant, just leading all the laps, pulling away, especially on the long runs when the tires really got worn out and were very old and slick. And, you know, I was actually pleased to come home with a 3rd-place finish at Darlington, knowing the circumstances.
The 6th race of the season kicked off the inaugural running of the Interstate Batteries 500 at the new Texas Motor Speedway, a race that would explode with excitement from the drop of the green flag.
Into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is a great market for NASCAR Winston Cup racing to be in. And there were some concerns about the racetrack. It was very narrow, very tight, and this is at the start of the race. First thing, right in the first turn, there was a big wreck. Just so narrow into that first turn at the speeds that we're going, and that kind of set the tone for the day. Jimmy Spencer was trying to keep from going a lap down, and he and I got together.
Jeff Gordon now later. You see him waving.
Now this is what ended our day. I was running 2nd at that time. We were coming to a caution, and Ernie Irvin was trying to get his lap back from Terry Labonte. Crashed into the slow car, had nowhere to go, and bang, I tell you what, that was a disappointing moment because we had the car to beat that day. A little dejected right there, but we had the car to beat, and you know, when you have a car that's that good that you say, hey, I know I can win this car, all I've got to do is just stay out of trouble. and then all of a sudden, trouble's right there.
Going into Bristol, Gordon held a streak of 10 straight top 5 finishes on short tracks. Jeff was determined to take advantage of the odds in a race that would prove to be pivotal for the Hendricks team.
It's a very small, it's only a half mile, but very fast, and things happen in a hurry. And if it happens in front of you, you're usually in it before you even know what happened.
Go, here's the change for the lead, Benny.
In one of the most exciting finishes of his career, Gordon played a furious cat-and-mouse game with the number 2 car during a thrilling 50-lap green flag finish.
Jeff has a run. He's looking. No, he can't quite make it.
Finally, the 24 car powered past Rusty Wallace on the final lap. This was short track at its best. Jeff and the Rainbow Warriors were back in the thick of the championship hunt.
When we came down the back straightaway, I rode him as hard as I possibly could, and I had to run on him to get underneath him, and he shut the door on me. And as I was on him, we went in there, and I just touched him. I didn't want to spin him, I didn't want to, but I didn't mind moving him just a little bit. And on a short track at Bristol, that's the way things happen. I mean, it's what we call short track racing, and there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of bumping and grinding that goes on, and I guarantee you, the next time I'm in Rusty's position, he's in mine, it ought to be very exciting. But to be able to beat him at a place like that on the final lap was really awesome.
After 7 of 32 events, Gordon found himself trailing Jarrett and Labonte. The 2 devastating crashes at Bristol and Texas had minimized the strength of his 3 wins. The relationship between Jeff Gordon and Ray Evernham has emerged as one of the most successful alliances in racing history.
I think really what it is honestly respect. I think he's the greatest, and I think he thinks I'm the greatest, and we've got that kind of mutual respect. Plus that, I really like him. I like him. I like to be around him. He makes me laugh. I'm very proud of some of the things that he does, and he's just somebody that I really like to be around. I think he feels that way about me.
This team would never be as intense and have the focus that they have, if it wasn't for Ray Evernham. I mean, he is just so adamant about, what it takes to be a winner. And he's a great coach, and he's a great demonstrator to be able to put that kind of incentive in, not only to me, but the entire team. And ever since he and I have gotten together, it's like magic, and he creates, this atmosphere around him with his guys, with the guys on the team, and with myself, that it's hard not to be able to go out there and win when you're driving a race car that he's working on.
Ray, it's more than any crew chief that I've ever worked with, plans for things happening that he can't control. And as you can see throughout the 4 or 5 years that Jeff's been winning races, you can see that things don't always go our way. But Ray's prepared enough, the crew's prepared enough, that we can turn a bad situation into a win.
When you work hard and you know that there is nobody in the world that can get any more out of that race car than he's getting, that's a very, very satisfying feeling. I've always been a big fan of drivers, and I got to work with great drivers at IROC. I mean, I worked with Foyt, Unser, Andretti, worked with Earnhardt, and people like that. And Jeff, as another race driver, you know what they're doing out there, and he never ceases to amaze me. I enjoy watching him race.
And in Bristol, Tennessee, Waller second, Labonte third.
Look at Everett, he is. Look at him, man.
The Martinsville short track provided Jeff Gordon with a perfect opportunity to shave Dale Jarrett's point lead.
We had really started picking up our short track program, running really well at Martinsville, so I felt very confident about Martinsville.
The leader goes around. He goes.
Lap cars are certainly the key issue at a place like Martinsville. So I come up to lap a couple guys, and Jimmy Spencer gets into the side of me, hits my left rear. The next thing I know, I'm spinning sideways, and I'm the leader of the race. And I just stood in the gas. I remember just standing in the gas, lighting the tires up and spinning it all the way around. And all of a sudden, I'm going back straight. It was very close.
That was a close call, and luckily I didn't damage the car too bad, and we were able to get back out there.
Jeff Gordon's 4th win in 1997.
After a rainout at Talladega, the sprawling Sears Point Raceway provided the next challenge. Mark Martin in the Valvoline Ford continued his hot streak by winning the pole with a track record of 92.807 miles per hour, earning his first career pole at Sears Point. Martin dominated the competition, and on the last lap, Jeff made a final effort to pass him on the hairpin 11th turn.
He's not going to do it, though, and he gets sideways.
But Mark Martin held Gordon at bay and went on to win the race by a split second.
Win the Save Mart Supermarkets 300.
Jeff was now focused on Talladega, where the wide sweeping turns and blazing straightaways can easily snatch victory from a driver's grasp. Jeff Chevrolet was only able to hold the lead 4 times during the blistering 188 laps, finishing a respectable 5th. Martin narrowly clinched his 2nd straight NASCAR Winston Cup Series race, and in the process, qualified for the Winston Million.
Man, this is great, and to be eligible for the Winston Million, it's just fabulous. This race team deserves to win, and had deserved to win before Sears, and finally, we had 2 weekends of things that really went our way and worked out, and I'm happy for them. Obviously, I'm happy for me, too.
Consistent finishes, that's what we need. We need to do it again next week in Charlotte. If you can't win, boy, top 5 is real good.
With the glitz of a Hollywood premiere, NASCAR's version of an all-star event lived up to expectations.
We were pretty pumped up about that race because, number one, it's an exciting race. It's a night race, and it just seems to get me fired up and the whole team. But we unveiled a new paint scheme now, the Jurassic Park the ride car. And so we had Universal Studios involved with it. So it was, it was a big day for us and a big weekend for us. And the car felt great. It was driving good, really fast. And I was like, I've won the Winston before, and I really felt good about our chances again.
For Jeff Gordon.
Gordon came from the back of the pack to the front of the field in both segments to win the non-points event. With the victory, Gordon and company proved that the new generation Hendricks chassis that looked so good on paper was real.
Right now with a bunch of confetti, Jeff is really excited. He is as excited as I have ever seen.
On the heels of an incredible week, Gordon sat on the pole of the Coca-Cola 600, NASCAR's longest race.
What's unique about that race is that it starts in the daytime and it goes into the nighttime underneath the lights. So we, kept ourselves in position all day long. I think we actually had some problems and car falls off the jack. We lose a lap under green. So we had to make up that lap. We got our lap back, and all of a sudden we find ourselves in about 4th or 5th position. It starts to pour, it starts to rain. And I thought the night was over. I really did not think that we would ever get back going under green.
In a controversial rain-shortened race, Jeff had captured his 2nd crown jewel race. The only thing that stood in his way of the Winston Million was his upcoming date with the lady in black, Darlington.
And here we are in Victory Lane, right here in Rick's backyard. Hey, Rick. Hey, Linda.
I wasn't thinking that Winston Million, I was thinking, man, what a week. I mean, the Winston, the pole, clean sweep, basically, of the Charlotte events. And then afterwards, I was thinking, hey, Winston Million, now we're talking. What an amazing week.
Gordon's win at the Coca-Cola 600 allowed him to whittle away Terry Labonte's lead to a mere 6 points, with Jarrett and Martin not far behind.
Jarrett broke today. Bobby Labonte back at night. Jarrett,
A NASCAR record for lead changes would set the tone for the Monster Mile at Dover. After crashing into Dale Jarrett, the 24 car was forced behind the wall with a busted radiator, resulting in a 26th place finish for Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon entered the Pocono 500 with hopes of becoming the first back-to-back winner since Bobby Allison.
Well, Pocono is a track that you either love it or you hate it. And for me, it's been a track that I really love. And we had a good race car, and things were going very well for us. And then, again, another tire problem. It was a slow leak. I just knew there was something wrong. I started fading, and I told, Ray, I said, hey, we've got some kind of problem, and we're gonna have to come in and change tires. I think it's a tire, maybe a cut tire or something.
He's down and away.
We had to come in and make an unscheduled pit stop and got out of sync with everybody and almost lost a lap. We got back into the race, basically, and got the lead back, and went on to win, I guess, like our 6th race out of like 13 races, and I mean, that's amazing to me.
Every time I pull into victory lane, I'm more and more amazed that we've actually done it. And even as much as we have won this year, it's still pretty shocking because this is very competitive, and you got to have just a perfect day going your way. And lately, things have been falling our way.
Tied for the points lead with Terry Labonte, Jeff qualified 12th at the Michigan Speedway, but was forced to start at the rear of the field in his backup car following a practice crash. The DuPont Chevy was able to pass the 88 car to grab the 5th spot as Ernie Irvin claimed an emotional victory at the track that had almost claimed his life 3 years earlier. The California kid returned home for the debut of NASCAR's newest speedway.
It's always nice to go back to California, especially a facility that Roger Penske built. It's just incredible. I mean, beautiful place, exactly what Southern California needs to get NASCAR Winston Cup racing really going strong there. And it's funny how inaugural races, we really seem to step up to the plate with. We seem to really get the most out of the race car, out of the race team. And we didn't sit on the pole, but we were 3rd and ran really good. We took the lead and we led the most laps and really had the car to beat all day long.
But with 179 laps to go, the number 6 car took the lead. Then on lap 240, Ray Evernham made a calculated decision. Skip the gas and go maintain the lead.
We got to that point in the race, we were a lap short. And Ray knew we were a lap short, and he wouldn't tell me we were a lap short. He just said, we need to conserve, Jeff. We need to conserve.
Jeff Gordon off the corner. Bob, I do believe he's going to make it.
Let's see if he can do it. He's going to do it. Jeff Gordon wins the California 500.
We'd never won a fuel mileage race. I had to figure out, right there on the spot, okay, what do I have to do? Luckily, we had a good enough race car, and we had a big enough lead at the time to be able to conserve on fuel. If I had to race anybody hard, we probably wouldn't have made it.
Jeff did a real good job, not using the car up, not burning extra fuel, catching a sniff of the draft everywhere we can, and we've worked very hard on that car to get as much fuel out of it as we can. He just ran out of gas.
On fumes, Gordon had won his 7th victory in 14 races and slightly extended his points lead over Mark Martin. The 4th of July weekend at Daytona would prove treacherous for the DuPont team. On lap 126, Gordon was on the move as he passed Dale Jarrett for 6th position.
Crashes. Jeff Gordon crashes. Let it go. Several cars.
And how in the world?
Right, baby. Come on.
Don't go across the racetrack, Derek. Don't go across the racetrack.
Come on, Dick. Bring it on to the line. Bring it on. Caution is out.
With the skill of surgeons, the Rainbow Warriors rapidly made adjustments to give their driver a chance.
Green sign is out, and Gordon does not lose a lap.
Unbelievable. Boy, it was close, but Gordon stays on the lead lap.
With half a lap to go, another violent crash scrambled the field as John Andretti grabbed the first victory of his young career. The 24 car finished the race in 21st position, enough to hang on to a slim points lead over teammate Terry Labonte. At the halfway point of the season, Jeff Gordon was awarded the Gatorade $50,000 bonus for being the points leader. With almost a 50% winning percentage, Gordon's star had never been brighter. He was now being referred to as the Tiger Woods of NASCAR.
Throughout my life, I never really pictured myself getting to this level. I mean, people around me would tell me, hey, you're gonna go on to do great things, and you're a great race car driver, but you have no idea, what level you're going to get to and what kind of great things are going to happen. And I guess I just never looked that far ahead. When I look at the game of golf and say, man, what an impact this guy has made on this sport. I'm following it and following him all the time, and then I turn around and somebody says, hey, you're the Tiger Woods of NASCAR Woods Cup racing. I have to take a step back and think, is that true? Is that possible? It's very overwhelming and very humbling because, you don't expect things like that to happen in your life. And one thing I never thought racing would do would bring me to that level as an athlete, to a level of possibly an NBA or an NFL player, and that's exactly what the sport is doing right now, and it's fun. It's exciting to be a part of it, but it's also a lot to put on somebody's shoulders.
The 8th victory of the season for the 24 team was not to be at New Hampshire. Well into the race, Gordon complained of severe looseness. A cut tire turned out to be the culprit as the 24 car went 2 laps down and finished 23rd on a day reserved for Jeff Burton.
Right now we're right where we need to be. I don't think you're going to see anybody get a big lead, and it seems like whoever does falls right back. So, it's going to come right down to the end of the season, and it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be a great championship.
At Pocono, a 2-car duel emerged between Gordon and Jarrett. But for the second time in 3 years, number 88 emerged the victor.
Good job, DJ. Well, we wanted to make sure that everybody knows that we're not giving up. We may be behind a little ways, but we're not going to quit. We figure our best shot is to win the rest of them and see what we can do from there. And these guys come to win every week, and this week everything went our way.
In the midst of a 3-race slump, the Hendricks-DuPont team would try to get back on the winning track at the famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway. With 56 laps remaining, Gordon was chasing Jarrett for the lead. Robbie Gordon slammed the wall, forcing a caution. As the leaders pitted for fuel, the unexpected happened.
Still, Jarrett will win off that battle on pit road, but they've got to fall in behind all these cars on the racetrack. Martin has to follow the 99 car. And Ricky Rudd stayed on the racetrack, chose not to pit. He will be our leader when we go back to green flag.
The gamble paid off, bringing Rudd his 2nd victory of the season. With 13 races remaining, Jeff Gordon maintained his points lead over Martin and Jarrett. The season was shaping up to be a 3-man race. The road course, one of the few challenges left to conquer for this young driver.
Basically, you only go to 2 road courses every year. And every time we go to one of those tracks, I keep notes, Ray keeps notes, everybody keeps notes on how we can improve the brakes, how we can improve the car to turn left and right, and how I can improve my shifting and braking and everything that I have to do to get around the road course. So that was a definite goal of ours to start out the 97 season, is we want to win a road course.
Starting 11th, the 24 appeared to be a car on a mission, running down leader Jeff Bodine on lap 53.
Jeff Gordon gets the lead just as you rejoin us. He took it away from Jeff Bodine in the spot that he has made so many passes today in turn 10.
So my goal was, don't make any mistakes, Jeff. All I got to do here is finish this race by not making mistakes. And I had some real battles there down to the finish. Had Rusty Walsh battled me a couple times, Jeff Bodine battled me a couple times, and I really had to push hard and make very few mistakes. And even though I did make a few little downshifting errors, nobody else ever saw it but me. I'm the only one that knows, and we still did win the race, and that's what counts.
You know, we really want to win that championship. We want that championship for Rick Hendrick this year and all the people at Hendrick Motorsports. It's real important to us. We're trying to stay focused and get it.
With a road course monkey off their back, Jeff and Ray took home their 8th trophy of the season. The 21st race of the season at Michigan would have Mark Martin's name written all over it. The Valvoline Ford came from 2 laps down on lap 169.
Watch this, gang. Whoa! Martin comes off with the lead. Passing 2 laps down.
Martin emerged with a victory, had new life in the championship hunt.
Oh, man, I want to win this thing so bad. Now I think I know how that kid feels on Sunday a lot. I had the car today. He's usually got the car, but we had the program today. We had the fuel mileage. We had everything we needed to win this thing.
At Bristol, the DuPont team knew the safest spot to be was in the lead. But on lap 245, it wasn't safe enough.
Oh, Jeff Gordon slides up the hill and loses the lead, and there he spins. And hits the inside wall hard, and so does Jeremy Mayfield.
The fury of a short track forced the battered Chevrolet behind the wall for lengthy repairs in front of a less than sympathetic crowd.
Typical Bristol, it's just the way it goes with lap cars. They're fighting so hard to get back on the lead lap, and it's unfortunate. You know, you think the best place to be is up front, and it normally is, except on those restarts. Those guys are wild.
On a very costly night, Gordon finished 35th, losing not only the race, but the points lead as well. Mark Martin took advantage of Gordon's misfortune and jumped 13 points ahead in the points race. With his first short track victory, Jarrett moved in on 2nd place. Not only was Gordon meeting resistance on the track, it was coming from the stands as well.
Noise from the grandstand.
What I've come to realize is that it just shows everybody just how loyal these fans are to their driver, to their team, and now to the sponsors even, or the manufacturers. And that's exactly what happened this year, is that every time those people were booing, they were basically being just as loyal as my fans were being to me, but they were being that loyal to their driver, to their team. And so, you know, you certainly can't knock them for that, and that's what makes NASCAR Winston Cup racing so unique and so special.
The Hendricks DuPont team now stood at the brink of history. The prestigious Daytona 500 victory and the emotional win at the Coca-Cola 600 had brought the 24 team to just a win away from taking home the Winston Million. Only once in the rich 12-year history of the Million had a driver captured 3 of the 4 crown jewel races and won the prize.
He's got $1 million up for grabs, and one guy from nearby started, and oh no! An engine, it looks like it's gone away on Cale Yarbrough. And look at Elliott go down on the apron trying to get around. Bill Elliott with some very anxious moments. Fortunately for him, the entire field.
From that day on, he was $1 million bill. Only 3 other drivers had ever earned the opportunity to win the million. And every time, the lady in black would not be taken.
Oh, he's in the wall! Jarrett is in the wall!
I think Brent Loudon.
Now it was time for Jeff Gordon's date with Darlington. The pressure was mounting.
When you have someone of his stature that is capturing the attention and raising our sport to another level as he is, he's going to bring in even more media than what we had last year for our opportunity at it. So I think that if Jeff plays it right, he can have a lot of fun, but with the attention that he gets anyway, he's going to have a tough time with that.
The last young guy that came down here that had a chance to win the $1 million, who kept him from it? Yours truly. Now, if we came down to the end of that race and it was just me and him, you can believe one thing. He'll have $1 million worth of trouble on his hand.
The climb would get even steeper as the 24 car qualified 7th on the starting grid. Then even more problems at happy hour.
They're just practicing, but Gordon gets the car about 30 degrees sideways, touches the left rear tire on Schrader's car. It was just 6 inches from disaster for both those cars.
Could have been $1 million moment right there.
Finally, race morning at the Mountain Dew Southern 500. Another chapter in the history of the Winston Million will be written today.
This is probably the racetrack where there's two races going on. The drivers have to race each other, and they have to race the racetrack also. So there's a separate race going on there. If they got to pay attention. The walls are just pretty close to them because you know where the groove is, and then you throw the history of Darlington being the first big track in the Cup Series. All the tradition, and it's not the routine normal racetrack. It's very challenging.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
The crowd is on its feet. Every seat is filled. The 48th Mountain Dew Southern 500 is under green.
As the green flag dropped, Gordon started strong. Soon he was charging hard to grab third place behind Dale Jarrett and the leader, Bill Elliott. But only 38 laps into the race, Jeff's Monte Carlo began to run very loose. It was the first of many challenges that would arise.
All right, bud, you're running a pretty good clip there. Is the looseness all the way through or just exit? Pretty much all the way through. I'm doing all I can right now to hang on to it.
The Rainbow Warriors prepared for their specialized kind of battle in the pits.
The water temperature was really getting up. Watch them push and put real. 18.2 seconds straight to stop. That's the kind of stuff that can win you $1 million.
The 24 crew had gained their team valuable seconds, and in the process, the lead. As the race wore on, the battle developed between four armored warriors: Elliott, Gordon, Jarrett, and Burton. Pressuring Bill Elliott with 164 to go, Gordon heated up his left rear tire, allowing the 88 and 99 to take advantage. Then another threat: rain clouds moving in fast. Gordon and Evernham knew they must make their move.
Michael Walker is running a very high line through the corners, leaving an opening for Jeff Gordon. He's going to take advantage of it and take that second spot.
Then the break Gordon was looking for.
Guess what, folks?
The caution just came out.
Don't you love it when plans come together?
Crew chief and driver decided to take advantage of the rain caution and pit. The Rainbow Warriors proved once again why they're the best in the sport. After the dust settled, Jeff Gordon was in first place.
If he wins $1 million today, Jeff Gordon, he and this entire team will have worked for it. They will have earned it.
Then suddenly, as she had done so many times before, the lady in black struck.
Sorry about that. This might be have to say, but should never hit that wall. All right, well, just be careful. Don't slow down to stop. Just give that right rear a tug. Just be smooth. Don't hit the wall with it. If this thing stays green, they might not be able to make it on gas.
Gordon's wounded Monte Carlo maneuvered the track like a minefield, avoiding a disaster as Ward Burton spun by. The left rear tire continued to smoke. With 25 laps to go, Jeff would try to hold on.
Assistant crew chief today watches Jeff Gordon go by. Young man looking for a bone marrow donor.
An unexpected surge from Jeff Burton who turned the race into a three-car dogfight.
Jeff Burton now goes into second position. There are less than 3 laps to go, and Burton closes in.
Here he goes. Look here. Oh, they make contact.
Oh, and they make contact. They go down into the corner side by side, and Jeff Gordon holds off the challenge. This is the last lap of the race, folks. Here he comes off of the 4th corner. Jeff Burton will make a challenge off the corner onto the straightaway.
Yeah, we did
But Jeff Gordon wins it.
Holy cow.
Jeff Gordon had reached a new milestone in his remarkable career by winning an unprecedented 3 consecutive Southern 500 victories. And in the process, the Winston Million.
This is a moment in racing history right here. The car has made it to victory lane.
Gordon's victory not only propelled him into the history books, but back into first place in the point standings.
It means
so much to do it as a team. You know, this is something they can all look back on, and everybody that worked on that car and worked in the pits today can say they contributed, but it's a part of racing history. And, you know, this is a great race team, and I feel very, very fortunate to be part of it.
I never dreamed that it'd actually come down to this and that we'd actually win the million. And, you know, looking back at the history of this race and the history of the Winston Million, I mean, there's just so few people that had ever even had the opportunity. We were given the challenge and we were able to come through. It's a great feeling. Now I know how Bill Elliott felt back in '85, and I remember him saying, you know, I just can't believe it, I can't believe it, and that's really the way I feel. I just can't believe we won the million.
At the 5th short track race of the season, Dale Jarrett made it clear that he would have to be reckoned with. Running at a furious pace, the 88 car stormed to victory.
As Dale Jarrett takes the checkered flag and wins his 5th race of 1990.
Fighting rear tire problems, Jeff was thankful for a 3rd place finish.
Whether it's the very first race this season, halfway through the season, the last race, that's why every point, every time you can lead a lap and get 5 bonus points, every time you can finish 1 position further ahead, you have to take advantage of it, because nowadays it's just so competitive. It may be a 14-point battle or less when the season is ending, and that's something that you can't afford not to take advantage of.
Jeff Gordon's last visit to Loudon back in July had resulted in his worst finish of the season. That memory was about to be erased. During the 3rd caution of the day, Evernham made a paramount decision that would give his driver the edge.
It was a quick gas and go for Jeff Gordon. The captain, Mike Belden, got in about 3.5 seconds of fuel, and Gordon barely stopped in his pit, and he was off.
The Rainbow Chevrolet led the final 73 laps.
Ray Evernham knows it's in the bag. Win number 10 of the year.
Good job, everybody. Great driving, Jeff. Great driving. Awesome job in the pits, guys.
Good job, guys. Good job, Jim. Good job, Ray, Jeff.
Days like today is what we got to do. We got to keep pounding the competition, keep showing them, you know, that we come here to win every weekend, even though we're going for a championship. And hopefully nothing will fail, and we'll finish the rest of these 7 races.
At Dover, it was Mark Martin's and owner Jack Roush's turn to make their statement.
Mark Martin wins at Dover Down Speedway in Delaware, his 4th win of the year.
With 6 to go, points leader Jeff Gordon had become the first Winston Cup driver to earn back-to-back 10-win seasons since Darrell Waltrip in '82. The final short track race of the year marked the 50th anniversary of Martinsville Speedway. Defending champion Jeff Gordon marked his 21st top 10 finish of the season, but was not able to keep up with the Exide 99 car.
Here is Jeff Burton winning the Haynes 500, his first short track win in his 117th career start.
The 24 team returned home to Charlotte with hopes of getting back on the winning track. For most of the day, Martin's Ford and Gordon's Chevrolet were locked in a seesaw battle. Meanwhile, Dale Jarrett captured the victory and held on to a slim championship streak. With 4 to go, it was imperative that Jeff and his team avoid one thing: total breakdown.
Basically, we run along there in 5th place, but we have about 20 cars behind us, and all of a sudden I blow out a left rear tire in front of everybody. And your initial reaction is save the car, and then as I'm spinning around, now I'm thinking, wait a minute, now I've got 10, 20, however many other cars being caught up in this wreck also. When the dust settled, I looked around me because now, you know, we're in a championship battle here, and I'm like, this basically could change everything about this championship. And as I look around me, I don't see the 6 or the 88. Had they not got caught up in the same wreck, and had we not got the car back out there on the racetrack when all that happened, we wouldn't have won the championship.
The Rainbow Warriors patched up the DuPont Chevy, salvaging a valuable 35th place finish. The stretch run began at Rockingham. The 24 team had to finish 6th or better in the last 3 races to claim their second championship. During the first few laps, a repeat of Talladega threatened. Then, with 29 to go, the axle retaining cap came loose. Gordon emerged from the pits in 14th place. In the end, Bobby Hamilton took the checkered flag as Jeff finished in a strong 4th place.
To get a 4th place here today is a great day for us. You know, we raced the guys that we need to race. We did exactly what we need to do in the championship. We need to do that 2 more times.
Deep in the Arizona desert, 3 challengers prepared for their next-to-last contest in the battle for the Winston Cup trophy.
We're sitting there running in the top 5 most of the day. All of a sudden, now we're finding ourselves getting toward even closer to the front. We take a shot at taking the lead for the first time of the day with Rusty Walls. At this time, Dale Jarrett is almost about to go a lap down. He's in front of us, tail end of the lead lap. He takes off. We don't see him again, and all of a sudden my car starts fading.
Oh, he's in real trouble now.
Gordon in trouble.
Gordon had cut his right front tire, emerging 30th and 3 laps down.
But this time, Dale Jarrett has not only taken off, he's caught up and taken the lead of the race and is checked out.
The 88 car went on to lap the field for a convincing win. The Rainbow Warriors and Jeff Gordon would have to fight for a 17th place finish.
That was probably the hardest I've driven all year long, was to make up all those positions and to get, you know, as close to those guys as I could so I didn't lose too many points. But certainly changed the outcome of the championship heading into the final race at Atlanta.
By virtue of his win, Dale Jarrett moved into 2nd place, tightening the screws on the pressure-packed points race. Mark Martin dropped to 3rd, trailing Jarrett by just 10 points. The entire 97 season was now reduced to 500 miles and 3 drivers. Jeff Gordon was in danger of losing his grip on the points race.
If I had a choice where I want to be, this is where I'd want to be. And I like pressure. You know, it's not something that I want every day, but in pressure situations, me and this team have been able to step up to the plate. And I think if we win it, it's going to make it that much sweeter and that much more rewarding because of the way this championship's come down.
Interestingly, the night before the race, these fierce competitors laid aside their ambitions, revealing a unique kinship.
I think one of the neatest moments to me, and a historical moment in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, was that night with our preacher, we got together with Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, and myself, all the 3 championship contenders, held hands and actually had, each of us prayed not only for ourselves, but for each other and for the safety and for you know, the championship to come down to the best man, the best team, but yet we're all going to be brothers with God. And I tell you, it was a very special moment for me, and really brought us all together and really meant a lot, and was amazing, really.
The season finale at Atlanta Motor Speedway would determine the 1997 Winston Cup champion.
We had tested there and tested fairly well, but knew that the Fords and the Pontiacs were basically the cars to beat. And we knew that we only had to finish 18th or better, but that's not always easy to do.
The adversity that had plagued the 2014, the past 5 races, would continue. In a freak accident, Jeff was warming up on pit row when he lost control, smashing into Bobby Hamilton.
And I couldn't believe what was happening. I mean, it just seemed like slow motion, the car spin around. I said, I'm gonna hit him. You know, and I was just praying that it's not gonna tear his race car up or hurt him, and that it's not gonna tear my race car up, so bad where we're not going to be able to get it back out. But of course, you take a 3,500-pound car, you slam it into another 3,500-pound car, it's going to do a lot of damage, whether you're going 40 miles an hour or what. And it did. And I mean, I was in such disgust, just couldn't believe. I wanted to pinch myself and say, please tell me this is a nightmare.
The Warriors scrambled to roll out the backup car and switch the engine. Not only was Gordon qualifying with an untested race car, the oil tank had been overfilled, spilling excess oil on the track.
When I came back around trying to make my qualifying run, drove back in my own oil and about spun out and almost lost that race car. And at this time, we have another race car coming from Charlotte to Atlanta, just in case something happens with that one. So, I mean, it was just about one of the worst days, in my career on the racetrack that I'd ever had.
The DuPont Chevrolet pulled into 37th position on the pole.
We got 500 miles and 3 hours to move up slowly. We'll let them guys get all themselves sorted out, and then we'll start to find us a groove where we can get by. 10-4. 10-4.
The last race of the 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup season, the Napa 500.
Is that looseness getting in real bad?
By the 8th lap, Jeff had patiently moved up to 26th. On lap 25, after pitting for minor adjustments, the 24 car was held up by Morgan Shepherd, losing 3 critical positions. On lap 52, another caution. Ray decided not to pit because his driver was only 1 position away from the championship.
To get our right side wheels out of the box. All we got to do is be careful. You were lining up through there pretty good. We just got to be careful, partner. We're in good shape.
Finally, with 266 laps to go, Gordon grabs the magic position, 18, while Jarrett and Martin remain in the top 3.
Haul it around and pit, partner. Haul it around and pit. Haul it around and pit.
Then, with 59 laps to go, Gordon was forced to take a pit stop. The DuPont Chevy returned to the track back in 19th position. With 25 laps to go, Mark Martin holds the lead. Dale Jarrett claims 3rd, and Jeff Gordon clings to 16th position. 14 laps later, Bobby Labonte takes the lead, allowing Gordon some breathing room. With 3 to go, the 88 makes its final move.
Dale Jarrett goes to 2nd, Martin back to 3rd.
In 17th position, the championship was 1 lap away. In the end, Bobby Labonte wins the battle, but Gordon wins the war.
Gordon is going to win his 2nd championship.
Way to go, guys. That's what I wanted to do, but we got it done. All right. Way to go.
Great way to cap off a long and hard season. My congratulations to Jeff Gordon and the Rainbow Warriors, and I want to say hi to Rick and Linda. I know it's been a tough year for him. A lot of emotion. It's nice. Certainly not the way I kind of want it all. I hate to run this bad and win a championship, but thank God that we won it. And it's been a long, hard year.
Hey, don't ruin the hood of that car. The roof, But he did.
I really appreciate it, man. You good medicine here today, but it was a little too close. But thanks for that gold car in the championship.
This wasn't the way I wanted to do it today, but it's what we did all year long that really got us here. And thank you for everything you do, Rick. We love you so much.
We love you, buddy, and you're a true champion in all ways.
Thank you, man. I couldn't do it without you.
This is an enormous honor to be a contender, and to be able to go out there and race to win like that means everything in the world to me, because I've raced for the back before too, and it's a lot sweeter when you're racing for the win.
We did want it really bad. We worked hard all year, and when you struggle this hard, work this hard, not that those guys didn't, everybody worked hard, and it was a great championship deal. But it would have been really nice to have had it this year. Just hate to have to wait another year, but we'll be back next year.
Just 14 points proved to be the difference in the closest three-way finish in the modern era of Winston Cup racing. For Jeff Gordon, a season of challenge culminates into a day of celebration as NASCAR fans embrace their champion.
That speech that I gave basically was to reflect on the season, on my life, my beliefs, and the people around me that got me to that level. And when I really think about how thankful I am to them, how lucky I am, and how blessed I am in my life, not only to have great people around me, but to have God in my life, and who steers me in the right direction, and who guides me every day, and who has blessed me with a wonderful family, a wonderful wife. I mean, I feel like the most fortunate person, in the world, and I think all that came out in one moment.
Thank you.
I can honestly say that the second time around is even sweeter. The second championship, I've been able to I think, enjoy, relax, and just let it all sink in, and just, reflect on everything that's happened this year. What an incredible season. A season that I don't know if I can ever top as a race car driver. And my career is going to be, it's going to be, I'm not going to say impossible because, things have amazed me before. But I can only enjoy it until 1998 starts. And when 1998 starts, it's a new season, another championship battle, and then we start looking for our third championship.
You're a true champion, always.